Everybody, I'm Gary McLean, and you are watching Talent Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please do go to the Talent Talk YouTube channel and subscribe today. As always, your support's appreciated. Another thing we're trying out this year, we currently have all of this season's episodes, and we will hopefully, before the end of this season, have all the previous seasons uploaded to podcast mediums such as Spotify, Apple ID, Google Podcasts, just to name a few. If you want a full list, just check out the details in the description of this episode for a full listing. And also, this is a live and interactive show, so if you have any questions or comments as the show goes on, throw them into the comments section, and we will address them as we go along. Now, today's guest is expecting the release of his debut R&B album, Esquire, set for release in late July. April 21st saw the release of the first single, Rich Problem, featuring collaboration with Swollen Members lead man, Madchild. He has made huge strides in the success of his musical career, but it's been a long journey to get there. So let's join that journey by welcoming R&B artist Mr. Esk.
Yo, Mr. ESQ.
Mr. ESQ, there you go. Done.
Yeah, some people call me Mr. Esquire, Mr. ESQ, Mr. But it all stems from the neighborhood I grew up in. I'm from a city called Esquimalt in Victoria, BC.
And there you go. That was going to be one of my first questions. So you've already answered it.
Perfect.
So how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm just on break from the job site here. They got the boys all working hard, so I figured I'll come down and sit in the truck and throw some dialogue in there with you. And I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to the interview. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Definitely. So what is your job right now? I guess what are you doing today?
I own a roofing contract, vinyl decking, railings, gutters, soffits. You know, kind of a bunch of. Got my hand in a bunch of things. A supplement company, a clothing store. But yeah, that's my bread and butter right now until this music kicks off and I start getting that Drake money.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
And I start rich problems. That's the goal.
That's right to have that rich problem. Absolutely. That's all our goal, right?
But no, I mean, I got a good group of guys that work for me. I got about 30 employees and all family men, all hard workers. So, we all got the same goal is keep our asses out of trouble and stay focused.
Absolutely. And so when did you kind of start your actual singing career?
I started rapping when I was like 12 years old, like writing music, writing poetry, and started putting the words together in a rhyme scheme. I was about 12 years old when I really started getting into the hip hop scene.
Okay, and then but you had a little bit of a hiatus there.
Yeah. I took a little break. I mean, I got into a lot of shit, so naturally I gravitated towards trying to make the money and hustling and growing up in the streets. I had some mentors that weren't favorable in the eyes of authorities, and I followed in their footsteps, unfortunately, but comes up with some good music, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, you definitely got a lot to build off now, right? And,
Yeah.
and I do know that's like based on what I've kind of looked at research wise, that's kind of the whole premise of a lot of your music is right off your own history and how you've kind of dealt with things and how you like to see things happen.
Kind of absolutely deal. Yeah, no, I definitely realize my history and all the mistakes I made to write my music. That's it. When I hear the song, that's what evokes out of me is that passion and that raw lifestyle that I lived. And I can reflect on it in my music. I don't want to reflect on it and go back to it in my real life, but it's the life I lived, and I can't put that aside. So my scars are to remind me that my past is real, and I got to utilize that shit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're not comfortable doing so, but do you mind sharing a little bit about what your history kind of involved in terms of the incarceration and all that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I got into selling dope and hanging out with a bad crowd when I was at an early age. I mean, I got arrested with firearms when I was 14 years old and ended up with a couple lifetime bans. Fortunately, I beat the charges. So you know, but they still slapped me with the lifetime ban. But you know, unfortunately, that didn't stop me from pursuing that lifestyle. And so in the short term, I just got mixed up with the wrong crowd, which were my friends, and I went down that bad path, and I ended up locked up for a while,
Okay.
unfortunately. But, you know, drinking, getting in fights, and hurting people, and I was driving for an escort agency, and I was collecting for them, and for guys that would be mistreating women or beating these women that were trying to make a living themselves. Um, I would kind of be like an enforcer, so that kind of put me in a position to hurt people, unfortunately, and that's what I gravitated towards, violence, you know. So
Right. So do you find that you're now that you've kind of been able to refocus into your rapping and R&B stuff, um, is that A, helping kind of deal with that past, and because you got it now a different channel that you can exercise that, I suppose.
yeah,
And
I
yeah, go
never
ahead.
dealt with it properly, you know. I was 18 years old. I had a son scheduled for birth, and he passed away at birth, and that even spiraled me even more. I went down an even darker path, drinking and just being disrespectful to people, and eventually at a house party, I ended up getting into a fight, and I hurt a guy pretty bad, unfortunately, and I ended up with a collective sentence of 10 years in prison.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
And
while I was inside, I took that time. Like I woke up in a cage. I didn't know what I did. I woke up in a cage and I was like, shit, like what the fuck am I doing here? And they told me, and I was like, okay, you know, I don't deny anything that I did. I don't deny anything that I've done, and I never will. If I haven't done it, I will argue till I'm blue in the face about it. But in terms of owning my own shit and taking responsibility for my actions, I'm 100% on that. Don't take that from me. So when I woke up in there, I was like, I got to change. I got to change things. You know, I got to change the direction I was going. So I quit drinking. I quit smoking, and I started working out, and I started working on my education and trying to better myself. You know, because that's all you can do inside that cage is work on yourself. You either go one way or you go the other. You can go down the bad path and start stabbing people and doing crazy things while you're locked up, because 90% of that's what it is. Or you can get your education and you can better yourself. You can get substance abuse. You can get the treatment you need, and start working on your rehabilitation and your game plan to enter back into society. So that's kind of the direction I took.
okay. And can you pinpoint what triggered that direction? Because, like you said, right, it's one way or the other. And I'm always been kind of curious as to what kind of triggers that decision.
For me, it
Uh,
was, and they were telling me I was charged with manslaughter. So uh, that that's a huge thing for an 18-year-old man, or 18-year-old boy. I was a teenager, you know, to wake up in a cell and they're talking manslaughter, and you know, to sit with that, it takes a lot. It weighs on your conscience and just your moral compass, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to take another man's life. I don't want to cause that heartache for families and stuff like that. And so that was it for me. I woke up and I said, I will never drink again. Here I am, 22 years sober. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, throughout my incarceration, there's some ups and downs. There's obviously times where, you know, you got to do things you don't really want to do, and you know, we won't talk about that kind of stuff. But you know, there was definitely some tested my direction, and I'm glad I came out the way I did.
No, and you know what? I think it says a lot to your character with the fact that you're willing to take that responsibility, right? And
Yeah, absolutely.
you really don't see that overly often. So kudos to you, man, for
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate that. Yeah,
um, that's definitely like, even for myself. That's one thing I've tried to instill in my kids is you take responsibility for your actions, regardless what it is, good or bad. Um,
the same with me.
right.
That's and my daughter. I got an 11-year-old little girl. Okay, so rewinding back to to when I was 18 years old, January 13th, um, my son was born and passed away. I lost my shit, started going down the wrong path. Went to jail, got out, met a girl, got pregnant. Doctor tells me your due date is January 13th. She comes on January 13th, 10 years to the day. And that's my little girl in life and well for 11 years now.
Nice, nice, nice. And has that kind of changed your whole perspective as well once
I
she
mean,
was born? And
I changed my direct. I got out and I was out
yeah,
for a while, and I was like, I'm starting businesses. I'm working. I'm hiring family men. I want to do better. I want to be a productive member of society, so to speak. And so I already had the mindset. I took the programs. I changed my behavior. I changed the way I think, and I had a direction. I mean, I've spoken at high schools and youth detention centers about the impact that violence can have on kids and families and the domino effect that it has, and it sits with you. So for me, I didn't want to resort back to that. I wanted to get out and prove that, I can live that kind of normal life. I don't need to go back to being some hustling kid or a gang anything. I don't need to carry firearms anymore because I didn't need it. I didn't need it to protect myself anymore. I didn't need it to protect these women I was working for. So when I had my daughter, it refocused me on this is now what I need to provide for. So
right.
and I'm like, I need to have houses for her. I need to leave all these businesses for her. I need to show her that men need to respect women and how they treat women is huge. So a lot of my songs reflect on that too, like, violence towards women and sexual abuse and stuff like that. Like, women can't even walk to the damn cars at midnight, but men can. Like, the world we live in is ridiculous. There's too many scumbags out there. So I fear for my little girl in some aspects.
No, I hear you, man. Like I've actually got two daughters, so you
You know
know,
exactly what I'm talking about then, you know what I mean? So like I did this song Armor. And I put a video out there, and it's about sexual abuse, a real true story. This guy raped 50 women in my community, and I was part of a group chat, and I sat down with the girl, and she told me her story as I wrote the song. And it was one of the hardest songs I've ever had to write. We're in tears, the beat's playing. I wrote the song, I did the video, I put it out, and it got really good responses. But like, that's what I want to do. If women aren't going to be listened to, because a lot of people just put it aside, it's like, you were drunk or this and that, or like, they have rights too, right? Why shouldn't we hear these women about and when they're speaking about these sort of things that happen to them? So
right.
I wanted to be like, I'm going to use my platform as a better thing. I want to help kids. I want to help women. I want to show that, this gangster shit isn't cool. Even though I glorify it, if you listen to majority of my songs, it then translates into a message where it's like, don't go down this path. I went this direction and look what the fuck happened to me. You don't want to go that route. Trust me.
Right,
Um,
right.
I see my buddies that are still doing the same shit. They just reminded me of the things I'm not missing. So I'm like, I reflect on it. I use it to my abilities. And if I can change one young man's life or change or help a girl get her story out, then it's all worth it to me. Like, that's what it's about for me at the end of the day.
Nice. And like I said, it's definitely prevalent in your lyrics and so forth. Because I have listened to a few of your songs already. So, um, which actually I do have one I might share if you're okay with it at some point here. Um, but actually, before I even get to that, I'll kind of lead into it because it's actually about your mother, Mother's Day, right?
Yeah,
Um, and so I wanted before we get to that actual video, I wanted to kind of touch on that and because obviously you can tell from the lyrics of the song, like you have tons of respect for your mom. I'm assuming she was very helpful throughout your entire uh,
I put that
phases that you're kind of going through.
I put that L, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that she still sits by my side and views me in the way she and holds me to this high. uh it baffles me because I put my whole family, I put other people, right? So I just wanted to say that she's appreciated for everything she ever did for me, and all the time she stood by me when most people on the planet would turn their back on somebody. Whether you're blood or not, it takes its toll on a human being. We're only human, and mentally it breaks you. So she's the toughest woman I've ever met, the strongest woman. And I met a lot of people in my life, and a lot of role models and stuff like that. A lot of women, corrections officers. There's probation officers. There's child services women. A lot of women in position of power. that help a lot of people. But I'm like, this woman's the strongest woman I've ever met.
Fair enough. And with that, if you're all right with it, I'll share that music video.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Awesome.
appreciate.
Here we go.
What's up, man? I just want to say I'm thankful for everything you ever did for me, you know? Love, dear mama, for all the bullshit, for all the drama, for every full clip, for every llama. Here's a rose clip for every problem, another one for every full dish you ever brought us. Karma coming for the kid who didn't know no better. I wanna thank you for the Nikes, for the polo sweaters. All the kids, single income, I don't know those pressures. Couldn't read, couldn't write, now I flow those letters. When you wrote those letters, all alone in my cell, I would hold those letters. Keep me strong, my composure, controlled it better. Everything you sacrifice, I don't know those measures. Help us grow together. Every woman on this planet with a son or daughter. Any woman raised a man that became a father. I wanna thank you for your strength and your stability. Ever since my first breath, you went beyond all your abilities. The type of love is unconditional. When you watch your younger son become a criminal, you would never let me struggle out of principle. Convicted and committed the unthinkable, thinking I'm invincible. Gangster was convincible. Thankful half the shit you ever witnessed ain't admissible. Thankful you don't see me or describe me as despicable. The way a woman loves a little child is unequivocal. Forever I wanna thank you. I'm thankful that you're the one I can call on. Whenever I need, I feel I couldn't breathe, I had a shoulder to lean on. I wanna thank you, thankful that you're the one I can call on. If anything goes wrong, you know it's a phone call. She's like, baby, just hold on, just hold on. I wanna thank you. Mama, you all appreciate it. You up the value of my life, it ain't depreciated. And all the stress I ever left you was alleviated. You always said it's God's plan, he never deviated. I wanna thank you. Anytime I got in trouble, you would mediate it. A broken home felt like a palace, that's what she created. Always told me follow dreams, baby, be creative. And when I felt like giving up, she could be persuasive. Be evasive from authorities, they'll always hate you. Always walk the path you choose, no matter where it takes you. I wanna thank you for your perseverance, prioritizing our lives with all the interference. How can the Hellraiser be my mama's favorite? The new Timberlands to cover up my ankle bracelet. I broke the laws and even though I hurt you, when they would call you said I always made it home by curfew. The struggle for a woman is to raise a man, but ain't nobody do it better than the woman can. I wanna thank you for making me a better man. You open up the gates of life and help me settle in. I don't think that I can say exactly how I feel. And you my rock, a lot of people never kept it real. A lot of rock bottoms, not a lot of separate meals. And you my guardian angel when this I haven't feel. I wanna thank you, I'm thankful that you're the one I can call on. Whenever I need, I feel I couldn't breathe, I had a shoulder to lean on. I wanna thank you, thankful that you're the one I can call on. If anything goes wrong, you know it's a phone call. She's like, baby, just hold on, just hold on. I wanna thank you, I'm thankful that you're the one I can call on. Whenever I need, I feel I couldn't breathe, I had a shoulder to lean on. I wanna thank you, thankful that you're the one I can call on. If anything goes wrong, you know it's a phone call. She's like, baby, just hold on, just hold on, hold on.
Awesome, man. So how long ago did you actually write that up and get that all, the video done and everything else?
I wrote that probably 5 days before we shot the video, which was 2 days before Mother's Day.
Oh wow, that's pretty quick turnaround, man. I gotta say.
Like, I was sitting there with my my woman. Shout out to Risa. Go follow her, Missy O on Instagram. But I was sitting there, and her mom actually said, "Oh, you should do a song for Mother's Day." And I was like, "You know what? You're right." So that's why I kind of generalized it in certain parts of the song. Any woman with a man that raised a son or daughter, right? Like it's kind of like a blanket statement for all women, but I had to things that were personal to me from me and my.
Right. So the one thing that I really didn't find a lot of information on, like for example, you're the youngest of six, and are they all brothers? I think.
Youngest of well, seven, because my dad has a daughter with
Okay.
another. So no, I got three older brothers and three older sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, still the youngest. I mean, yeah. Usually that means you get picked on the most, right? So.
It's all right though. It made me who I am because, by the time I became 15, 16, I started getting the phone calls to help them in their situations. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, actually, yeah, your father was the one thing I was kind of wanted to ask you quickly about is how prevalent was he in kind of
He
your
was he was there. He was there the
yeah.
whole time, my whole life. You know, um, he had a little bit of a drinking problem, which that's I inherited that. That's why I'm sober. He's sober now too. A lot of my brothers are sober. Um, but yeah, he was there. Very loving father. Maybe I might throw something together for Father's Day because I put him through the same hell as my mom. You know, but we as men, we don't really talk about our emotions too much. That's why, like, even personally, like, even even if I wrote it down, that's the only way I can kind of get it off my chest. If I make a song, then I'll show you how emotional I can be. But in terms of a conversation with my mom, it's usually, kind of just what it is. I was never able to sit her down and express myself like this unless I was able to write this music. So for that, it's also a blessing. Is like I can get these things off my chest and not feel embarrassed or ashamed that we as men can bear our souls in with my music. It's a good thing. I love it. That's one of my favorite things about writing music is a lot of songs that I've written about me and my history. They'll never see the light of day ever. And I burn them. I burn them when I'm done because that's me getting it off my chest. So
Okay. No, fair enough. Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting. Which, by the way, folks, he does have quite a few videos that you can check out on YouTube. Just do a quick search for Mr. ESQ, and you will definitely find it. He's usually at the top of top of my search list anyway, apparently. So check out a lot of his music. He's got a lot of good stuff on there. But let's get actually into the meats of why you're actually here now, which is the album
yeah.
coming out in July. Debut. How long to put that together? How many tracks do you got?
Yeah, the Esquire album.
Yeah.
This is my first debut album from this major label that I got signed to, Predominant Studios, and they approached me, and were a fan of the music, and they just said, "Look, we want to sign you into a one album contract, see how it goes." And they wanted 16 songs, so I gave them 20, and they sent me beats. Me and my woman sat there and listened to all these C Lance beats. Shout out C Lance, amazing producer. And she started picking beats, and then the label would send me these beats from C Lance, and then I'd get these other beats from Kripal, another producer, and Gisco, another producer. And so the label kind of picked these beats. My woman picked these beats, and it challenged me because usually I'll hear a beat and I'm like, okay, I like this one. I'm going to write to this one. But with other people selecting the beats, it was even more challenging because now I'm forced to write these songs that, make it even more uncomfortable. It pulls me out of my comfort zone. So this album has so much versatility on it. There's songs about, there's obviously bangers like Rich Problems. There's some clubby songs I got coming out. There's a song called Out of Control, Locksmith. These are songs for women. Clubby type ones. And then there's the real serious ones like Mother's Day. There's Dark Nights and Sunny Days. So a good broad spectrum of a lot of different songs, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to reintroduce myself lyrically and musically to the world with this label.
Okay. And you had a fair bit of collaboration, I think, with this album as well with other artists, I believe, right? I mean, obviously, Mad
Yeah,
Child is one.
yeah.
I
Matt Child is definitely he's the big name on the album for sure. And yeah, we that was a fun song. It is. The video comes up Monday morning on YouTube. Song is already out streaming on all platforms. It's doing great numbers, and yeah, I'm excited.
And so, how did these collaborations kind of come together? I think I don't think it was necessarily for this album, but I know you also did some stuff with Pitch Boy and things like that, um, based on
Uh,
what I saw on your
what
YouTube
I
as well.
what I've done on my in the past is so I've been back in this music for 3 years now. I've been back recording music for 3 years, and this will be the 18th album in 3 years. So I did like 4 or 5 solo ones, and then the rest are collaborative projects that I would pick an artist, or they would reach out to me, and we would bang out 10 songs and release it. I did an album called Island Royalty, which is like 17 songs. We got over 20 artists on this album because we want to showcase the island's finest. Vancouver Island, Victoria, BC, and we wanted to collectively bring all these artists together and show them that, you know, unite the cities and put this project together. But I got tons and tons of collaborations with other artists. I like doing that. It challenges me. It makes me it pulls you out of your comfort zone. If you keep making the same music over and over, even if it's working, you know, if I play on your album and every song is the same, then what's the chance of me hearing your next one?
Yeah, right. Fair
That's
enough.
I mean, personally, that's how I feel. So
Absolutely. So when did you actually record this album, Esquire? How long ago was it
we've
recorded?
been I've done this one over the past 4 months, 4 or 5 months. Yeah, 4 months, 4.5, 5 months. Yeah, everything's recent, so pretty good. The Mad Child song, it was a little bit ago when he came to Victoria, just before the whole, you know, or it was like in the middle of the COVID thing. He was when you were still able to kind of go back and forth. So, yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to this album, like obviously, I'm assuming like Spotify and venues like that, or venues, um, mediums like that, are some of your goals.
Yeah,
What
getting the
other?
streams is obviously the most important. Getting people to hear
Yeah,
it, you know what I mean? I think I think that's the most important. I mean, if somebody wants to hear one song and then be like, "Hey, that's cool," and move on, and they don't, I would rather the person that listens to all my songs and follows it and downloads all the music. I'd rather 10 of those than 1,000 people that listen to one song once.
and I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I kind of feel the same way about this show, to be honest. So,
all right. You, you do things for your loyal fans. It's like, you know, it's great if I get new fans and they love my music and they support it, and you know, I'll always be forever grateful for that. But I got a good following, some loyal fans, and so that's who I make for. And I make music for my family and friends. That's why I started it. It started out just a hobby. I never wanted to push it into something to become what it's actually become. It kind of just popped off, and you know, I'm grateful for that. And if it continues growing, great. Like I said, have those rich problems would be a nice thing.
yeah, right. And so that kind of leads me, like, obviously, like I said, you know, you've got the mediums of Spotify and everything else. Are there plans for touring or doing live shows or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I got a live show tomorrow night. I got on the island. I got a lot of shows coming up, so I got about
nice.
10 or 15 that I'm going to be doing. I got a private Victoria for next weekend. Um, you know, raising the for the cause. Like it's either we donate money to all the Indigenous children or families of the Indigenous people, or that from the bodies that were found here in Canada, or it's freedom convoy. You know, the truckers, anything to support what we can. Is, you know, whether it's $2,000-3,000 we're donating, it is what it is. You know, monthly that makes an impact. I think personally, you know, I don't do it for the money or the fans or the likes or the compliments or anything like that. I do it for the love. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Um, and like you say, you've got um, a crew that you're kind of working with right now on houses and such right now. What is it? What's the kind of, I don't know, relationship, knowing that you're an R&B artist with those guys? Does it help your relationship with them, or they give you a hard time, or are they
No,
fans, or
love it. My music's pounding on the roof every day. It's
nice?
they love it. They support it. They're like, you know, because they're my friends too. First and foremost, my business is a family, so I treat them like family, and they know that, and they know that no matter what happens, I got their back. They need anything. It doesn't matter what. back. And it's vice versa. I need them. They're there for me. Like, we're working out here in the pissing down rain, and they're breaking their bodies and their backs for me and their families at home. It's like they need to be compensated and appreciated for these sort of things. So, yeah, I got a great group of guys, and a couple of them are artists as well. So
There you go. Right. Uh, Signed to the same label yet?
no, they're not. But I got collaborative projects with them. I make music with them. They come on tour with me when I do it, and they do shows with me, and they're on stage with me. So that it's not just here to work. We're a family, and we do things together, whether inside or outside of.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And when it comes to, sorry, I just lost my train of thought because that's what I do at least once a show. I'll lose my train of thought.
No, I'm just kidding.
Where was I going to go with that? Well, in any case, this is released in July. Do you have an actual release date yet, or is
I
it
don't.
just still kind of late July or late July? Okay.
The master engineer DJ Stilo is touching things really nicely right now, and he's making everything sound beautifully. And I'm really impressed. There'll never be another person that mixes and masters my music ever again. DJ Stilo is the man. He just blows people. He blows everybody out of the water. Like he puts guys to shame that have been doing this for 30 years. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah. The
Well,
and the thought that goes into it and his mindset is just like, he's so critical of himself that when he sends me a song, he's like, hey, he'll send me like 4 different versions of it and be like, which way do you want me to go with this? But I really like this. I'm like, wow. Like most engineer mix and master guys will be like, yo, here's the mix. You know what I mean? Their soul isn't into it. You want to put your blood, sweat, and tears into what your craft is. If you don't stand by it, why would I stand by it?
yeah, no, that's a fair statement. Absolutely, man. We do actually have a question, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar who this guy is. What has been your favorite moment in your career so far by Rick Threat?
Oh, Rick Threat. My favorite moment in my career. Wow, tough one. I would say being able to bring certain songs that I've written to life. To like, I wrote songs a long time ago while I was incarcerated that have now been brought to light and I could share with the world. The song I did about my son, He's an Angel, meant a lot to me. It was so hard to write and a really emotional song to me, and I felt like I needed to do it in order to put some closure on it. I had to put that out, and then putting that release on Facebook and YouTube and stuff. Like so many women and men reached out to me because they've lost children and saying how that song helped them get through a certain moment. Thousands of people, thousands of messages about that song saying like, you really pulled me out of a dark spot because I just went through this and thank you. And I was like, my heartache helped somebody else because I wrote that song, and they were able to hear it and they were able to internalize it and they were able to put their own feelings to rest and get their own closure through that. And now they play it on their son's, anniversary. So, and I get messages all the time about that song. It's I think that was a career defining moment for me, for sure.
And it's doing exactly what you wanted with the music, right? That was, yeah, like you've achieved that goal already with just that one song. So, and I honestly,
the Mother's Day song was very important too, because that brought my mom to tears, and she said thank you for the song, and I was able to say the things I wanted to say. As you hear in the song, the things I put her through. I mean, I don't recommend for anybody to be going through those things. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and that was the other one I was going to bring up is the Mother song, and obviously that's reached out to people as well, and
yeah, that one got a lot of love on Facebook, and a lot of moms in the same category lost their mom, or they are a mom that is a grieving mom because they lost their child. Like a lot of people were like, wow, this song really touched me, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all. I couldn't care less if it got 1 million views. It doesn't matter to me. I got 10 people that said, "Hey, this song changed me," and that's
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. No, and I think that's that's a great achievement to have in your pocket there. So yeah, kudos for that.
Thank you.
And do you have an artist that you like? Obviously, Mad Child, that was a great opportunity. Do you have another artist that you're kind of itching to really collaborate with at this point?
Oh man, yeah. Like my all ultimate would be Tupac Shakur, but obviously, a lot of the artists that I would dream to work with are unfortunately passed away. Because I'm an old hip hop head. I think Joyner Lucas is up there on my number one. Him and like J. Cole, those guys, Jay-Z, Eminem, Dr. Dre, like these guys would be like amazing to work with. If I was given any opportunity, I would put my entire soul into it, and I would just make sure that they were like, "Whoa, okay, you mean business."
And so there you hear you guys. I'm sure they're watching this show right now because I'm that good. Uh,
They're definitely watching right now. They got
yeah,
the notification, logged in. They're just sitting silent. Speak up,
yeah,
boys. I want to hear it.
absolutely.
But
We do have another question for you, actually. Do you have any advice for young artists trying to straighten out their lives and concentrate on their work?
yeah, absolutely. You need to put yourself in other people's positions, and in terms of mindset, you need to not make impulsive decisions when you're going down that path. Think logically and think of the long term, because in terms of longevity, you're not going to last living that fast life and that troubled life, or that trying to chase that fast money. It's going to take its toll on you, and your body will belong to the government at one point. So I don't recommend it. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Be consistent. Keep dropping music. Keep putting it out. Do something every month. Stay relevant, and just speak from your heart. Put your whole soul into it, and people will listen and they'll appreciate it more. Making songs about clubs and bitches and bangers, and yeah, that's cool. Making songs for your home is cool too. But the ones that matter the most are the ones from right in there.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Um, when it comes to, like, for example, you kind of started getting back into this 3 4 years ago, so roughly.
Yeah,
What steps did you take to kind of reinitiate this process and getting to where you are today? Because
I
that might actually help some of these young artists that are kind of struggling, going, "Where do I start? How do I
for
get
me
going?"
it was hard for me, almost accidental. Not really accidental, but okay. One of my buddies I grew up with, that I literally, like, he told me, he's like, I watched you freestyle at parties and I mimicked you. I wanted to be like that. He's my buddy's little brother, and he started doing music, and he did great. He put out albums, and he's such an amazing artist. YD from the North, don't sleep on that kid. He's really good. But his older brother was my best friend, and he was murdered, got stabbed to death in the streets. It's just that's we were living that life. That's just the unfortunate. And this, we're talking 4 years ago, he got murdered. And so I went to the studio to do a song with his little brother, and I laid about 4 bars, and the producer, or the engineer, spun around and shut the song off, and he was like, "Who the fuck are you? And where have you been?" And I was like, "I'm just here to lay this verse down for my friend." And then he grinded me, got my email address, my phone number, my social media. And he's just like, come to the studio, get in here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And I went in there and we recorded 10 songs in like 2 weeks. And that's Letter to Judgment. That's the album. That's the debut album. He's like, we need to get this out. We need to be heard. And then it's been chaos since. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of luck in there, I think, to a certain extent.
yeah, I mean,
But
it was
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
was just like, you know, he was like, he was a video guy, he was an engineer, he was a mix and master guy, he's the one-stop shop. I went in there, we did these 10 songs. He's like, let's shoot these videos. He had the idea of doing it on the bridge with the red jacket, and I was like, this is going to cause a lot of heat. Like, I don't think he understood what he was getting into at the time, because he was like, why are reporters calling me? Why is Check Six calling me and that? And I'm like, I have a history, man. Like, you know what I mean? And the history that they portrayed me as, garbage, not true. I own my truth, and that's what I do. But yeah, so we put the song out on the bridge in the red jacket, and I got some hype. But then I followed it up with my apology, and it was crickets. Yeah, I appreciate the 50,000 views, but you know what I mean? Where'd all the reporters go when that came out? You know what I mean? So they want that negativity, they want that controversy. But when it comes to, the thing is, with all their questions that they were sending and wanting answers for, I answered in my apology. And I already had recorded that ready to go. We planned this. So, and then it was crickets. They didn't want to follow up. They got the answers they didn't want. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's when it comes to this kind of media stuff. That's what sells, right? Is that controversy, and
yeah, exactly.
It is kind of disheartening at times, right? Because you're like, well, I'm putting out a good product here. What's the problem?
They glorify things, right?
Yeah, absolutely, right.
Well, what I say is, like, you know, people ask me, why do you glorify music? Like, why do you make music about, you know, guns and drugs and, you know, hurting people and things that you've done? Why do you bring that to light? It's already in the media, and it's already been in the light, and people know. But I need to glorify certain things to get there. So now that I have their attention, now you can listen to the rest of my music, and they can say, oh, okay, yeah, that song's dope, but this is what happened when you did that. Because all my music is factual. Everything I say in my music, I've literally done. It's not made up. It's the unfortunate facts that I've lived. I've lived 100 different lives, unfortunately. So
fair enough. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, it's kind of early to tell because you're still kind of waiting for the release of Esquire. But plans afterwards?
Oh, I got lots
of other albums in the mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the label's already like, I mean, we haven't even released an album yet, but they love my work ethic, love my energy. I love what they're doing. Jackie, the boss lady, shout out Jackie. She's a genius. She's doing things that I never imagined she would. She's doing things that she never imagined. So having all these artists and signing all these artists, she's already approached me and said, look, we want you for a 5-year contract. And you know, they're drumming up a contract, and we're going to talk business. But I think she's made a really good foundation for up and coming artists, and you know, created a family, like a cohesive unit. It's amazing what she's doing, and my hat's off to her, because she's nonstop. She's a workhorse. So, but I think predominant is in my future. I'm not gonna lie. So, but I got an album coming up with Mercury, a big up and coming artist. He's been out. He's huge, and you know, he's the homie. He makes dope music, and he's got a really good following. But yeah, he speaks from the heart too. He's real, and that's what I like about him. You know, he's not afraid to put his emotions out there and talk about, you know, addiction and you know mental illness and things like that. So that's the kind of shit that I want to collaborate with.
Nice. Yeah. We do have another question. I don't know if it's from the David Hasselhoff. I'm going to assume it is. But the question is, why are there no woos in your track, Ric Flair?
You know what? Good question. Why the hell isn't there? I think there's one from me. I go, ooh, like that's all. And I don't know why there isn't 742 in that song, but you know, maybe I should remake that one for you. I'll send it right to David Hasselhoff. I'll get on that for sure. That is a great observation, because I noticed that too.
And funny enough, I just listened to that one this morning, so yeah, it's kind of fresh in my mind right now. I was like, oh yeah, I guess there isn't, is there?
We all say it. We all say Ric Flair, but how many woos is in there? I think there's only one from me. That's it.
And so, and I have noticed that videos seem to be fairly um, prevalent in a lot of what you release as well. Like, are videos fairly important to you as well, or is that more of a side thing, I
I think
guess?
no, I think it's important. I think the visual effect, that's for the fans, to be honest. You know, it's a visual effect for your loyal followers that actually subscribe to your YouTube and they want to see you, you know, or they follow you on Instagram or Facebook. These are people that want to see you in a video. You know, when I follow my buddies, it's like I want to see their posts. I want to see what they're doing. I want to keep up and keep active in their life. They're my friends, you know, and that's what we are. You know, when people are subscribing to your YouTube and they're your fan and they're buying your CDs and your hats and asking for your autograph, you gotta appreciate that. That's family, you know. Like strangers don't do that kind of shit. They become a fan and they inherit your music and it talks to them and they relate to it and they become even more attached to you and then you guys have that bond, you know. It's a good thing. It's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know what? We are like 45 minutes into the show. Generally I try to keep it between 30 and 60, so this might be a good spot for to let you actually get back to your job. So,
Oh, I thank you for having me on. It's been great. You know, you can follow me on Instagram, Harrison underscore at Mr. ESQ, or on Facebook with the same name, or I have a fan page, just Mr. ESQ, and that's all across all spectrums: Spotify, Instagram, iTunes, YouTube. It's Mr. ESQ, and you can keep up to date with all that stuff. Just hit the follow, subscribe, follow my man here on this show. Do all the things, like, subscribe, share, do everything.
thank you so much for that plug. Ditto. Um, but no, I do appreciate you taking the time to actually sit down with us and chat about your album a little bit and your history as well. So thanks for that. And it seems like you've made huge strides, like I kind of mentioned in the intro. And I hope nothing but success for you moving forward, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on. Hit me up in 6 months when the album is going.
Absolutely. You know I will. And thanks for folks for watching and for commenting as well. I appreciate that as well. That's what the show is about. I love those comments, so keep those flowing. And we'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Peace out.